Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. And would you know it, a load more motorsport is starting this weekend. We have a sumptuous buffet of Super Formula, Indycar, F1 Academy, and the subject of today's video, Indy NXT, the second season for the rebranded Indy Light Series. We are going to look at every team and driver announced for round 1, and then at the end of the video we are going to try and make some predictions. Not actually many teams in Indy NXT, but some have a lot more drivers than others. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the previews or other motorsport content coming out this week, such as a Formula 1 review and something special later this week. And with that, let's jump into the video. HMD Motorsport. We are going to start with HMD because they have the majority of the drivers taking part in 2024. In fact, they have 10 of 20 drivers. That means they have a 50-50 chance of winning. They also have some of the more impressive drivers in this series. The team owned by Lithuanian Henry Malukas gave his son David a chance to race and take podiums in IndyCar. The last two drivers' championships have also been won by HMD drivers, so it's a team with a growing pedigree. They also have the most returning drivers, and so are the most experienced team in the field. Starting with Nolan Siegel, who was in genuine title contention last year. 2 wins early in the year left him in a good position. A poor end to the series left him adrift of eventual champion Christian Rasmussen, but he did finish 3rd overall and has to be one of the favourites in 2024. Reese Gold has a name that suggests champion. He did take a win at Detroit but was more of a midfield runner. Christian Bogle seemed to tangle with people a lot last year, and he's on his 4th season at this level. He's never been on the podium and has finished 11th 3 years running. He'll be 11th again in 2024. Josh Pearson has been doing pretty well in endurance racing but wasn't as good in this series, but he did only race part-time in 2023. As for the newbies, Caio Collet has to be the pick of them. The former Alpine F1 Academy driver has wins in Formula 3 but couldn't take the next step to Formula 2 and has pivoted sideways to America. Callum Hedge is also a fantastic driver, last year's Formula Regional Americas champion and the Porsche Carrera Cup Australia champion, runner-up in Formula Regional Oceania in 2023 and 2nd in the New Zealand Grand Prix in 2024. Definitely a capable driver and one that is a real success story from a country that has plenty of them these days. Nolan Allier is very inexperienced and is coming straight from Formula Ford. He had some success in America but is skipping some of the lower classes to debut in Indy NXT, and I wonder if that's a good idea. Jonathan Brown is an Irish driver who was mediocre in the USF Pro 2000s over the last couple of years, and Niels Coulinan, who has been anonymous in Europe over the last couple of years, and I don't think I've ever seen him run in the top 10. Some of those guys seem pretty hopeless, at least on paper, all the better to be a surprise. One of their rookies I do have a lot of hope for is Miles Rowe. Last year's USF Pro 2000 Championship winner has a lot of hype behind him and has links to Penske, who saved his career a couple of years ago. If he's going to win a lot though, he will have to live with being called Miles Prower by snarky journalists and YouTubers, such as myself. Abel Motorsport. Of course it wouldn't be Abel Motorsport without Jacob Abel driving for the team. Still young, but Abel has been racing for a long time, all the way back in 2017 when he was just 15 years old. In the last couple of years he has really come alive. 5th overall last year in Indy NXT, 3rd in Formula Regional Oceania and a good performance in the New Zealand Grand Prix. His biggest flaw is he doesn't win enough races. He took multiple podiums last year but hasn't won since 2021. Remember when I said Josh Mason going to Formula 2 would destroy his career? Well, here he is in Indy NXT, racing against drivers coming from Formula 4 and the lower categories of American single-seaters. If he doesn't do well here, I don't think you'll ever see him again. He did poorly in Formula 2, was average despite wins in Euro Formula and New Zealand, and just hasn't impressed at any point in his career. Do or die time for Josh Mason, but that should be motivation. Finally, Yuvan Sundaramurthy has failed in USF Pro 2000 Championship over the last couple of years. He did make appearances in Indy NXT last year, but his best finish was 9th. Jenkins Hollinger and Josh Mason should be top 10 drivers, but I would be surprised to see any of Abel's drivers on the top step at any point. Jenkins Hollinger. Just one driver for Jenkins Hollinger. Lindsay Brewer is one of the older drivers in the field and yet one of the least experienced, given she had a long career break. This is by far the highest level she's raced at. She might find herself out of her depth, but she does at least know the tracks. Maybe the odd top 10 finish, but I'm not expecting any big surprises from Brewer. Miller Vinatieri Motorsports. This is a strange team. The Miller is former IndyCar driver and dentist, Dr. Jack Miller, and the Vinatieri is an American kickball player. Miller's son, also called Jack, is racing. The 20-year-old was a midfield driver in the Pro 2000 series last year and will be somewhere near the back at every race. Andretti Global. Finally, the 5 drivers racing for Andretti in 2024. They probably have the highest quality lineup across all of their drivers. Lewis Foster was great, but he must step on puppies and shout at orphans because he was a target last year. He was taken out of races through no fault of his own on at least 4 occasions, and if that could maybe happen less, then he is in with a shout of the title. Bryce Aaron has been a race winner in multiple series over the last few years, but never a championship contender himself. Wins in GB3, Formula Regional Oceania and Euro Formula have yielded little more than a 4th place overall in Euro Formula. Not a bad driver, but outclassed in this series. James Rowe Jr. is on his 3rd year of Indy NXT and improved greatly in 2023. He took his first podium and was well within the top 10. He might be able to break the top 5 if he has a really good season. Driving for Andretti Cape is Mexican Salvador de Alba, a NASCAR champion. NASCAR Mexico champion, that is. He finished 3rd overall in the USF Pro 2000 Championship last year, only losing out to Miles Rowe and Kiko Porto, and appears to have some talent, and will be looking for good results as he seems to be switching to single-seaters full-time. Finally, Jamie Chadwick. Remember when she was a 3-time W Series champion and Williams F1 Academy driver? Well, now she's the 3-time W Series champion and Williams F1 Academy driver who had a really bad time in America. I would expect better on her second go-round. She knows the tracks now. If it isn't a good season, then God knows where she'll go next. Much like Josh Mason, this is a do-or-die season for Jamie Chadwick. So they are all the teams and drivers taking part in 2024. Now for some predictions. And believe it or not, I'm not picking Jamie Chadwick to win Indy NXT. I think she will do better than last year, but she'll be doing well if she gets top 5. I think her hype has well and truly died down, and she was not the motorsport saviour of all womankind we all thought she was, after 3 W Series championships. Instead, I'm going Caio Collet. The Brazilian is a race winner in Formula 3, and whilst Formula 3 drivers don't always do well in this series, I think Collet has the experience to really get to grips quick. It'll be close with Nolan Siegel, Lewis Foster and Miles Rowe, all in contention at the end of 2024. All of them are good enough to be IndyCar drivers in the future, and it's going to be an exciting year. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything coming out later this week. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.